Pop, tell us a little bit about
Well, I wish they'd had this 3-point line when I was playing. I would have led the league in scoring.
was that your spot right there?
This would be my spot right here, or in the corner over here would be in a good spot too for me.
They just left you open?
Look, there's not much room between the 3-point line and the out of bounds line on this court.
Is this a is this a standardized court?
No, this is not a full size court. But
Was all this here? These things right here?
no. Oh, those posts were here. Oh yeah, these posts were here. That's what holds the roof up.
Well, I imagine. I just didn't know if they had that back in.
But, they didn't have all this.
Right.
It's a weight room.
Right.
That turned out weight room. Why just bleachers? But, yeah, this is. They've air conditioned it actually now. They didn't used to have it air conditioned.
I don't think it was air conditioned last
It
time.
wasn't
I was here. It was
when you were
pretty
here.
hot.
I think this is new since then. Yeah.
Yeah, because look at that unit coming in.
That's all new. And there used to be a smoking room back behind that door up there, and people would go up there and smoke, and then they'd come out and sit on this ledge sometimes to watch the game in the middle of the game. Yeah, that's the skybox, old time skybox.
Luxury suites.
And there was one little skybox over in that corner up there.
Over the archery thing is?
Where the archery thing
People
is.
used to sit in that?
And the popcorn machine sat on this corner, up on that stand just opposite over there was the popcorn machine. And your Uncle Jim scored many a point on this court, and I scored a few less, but I got more rebounds.
So, Pop, do you remember that slogan? Win with class, lose with dignity? Is that when you guys were here?
I don't remember that slogan when we were here. There wasn't many losses.
Or the sportsmanship code?
Yeah, the sportsmanship code was here when we were here.
Was it? Okay.
We never hiss or boo. We always liked reading that.
Who was number 33?
I don't know.
I didn't know if they did that after somebody.
I don't think that was. These used to be the dressing rooms when Uncle Jim played. These little tiny rooms back in here were the dressing rooms, and this was the dressing room and bathroom in here. You don't need to take a video of that.
Wow.
Back in here.
That's where the referees went in to smoke, and they hung out at halftime, and the referees didn't hang out in there. So,
Referees had a bigger locker room than the players.
yeah, but we can go down to the new gymnasium and see if it's open. This is where they sold candy and stuff like this, and the concession stands right here.
More trophies?
Yeah, I don't remember this being a trophy thing here. Then later on, they started having the locker rooms were down these stairs and down these areas here.
Is that where you had your locker room?
This is visitors. We were on the other side.
Okay.
So this was the visitors' locker. They wanted it in 50, 51, and 52. They wanted 3 years in a row. And this one's the one you see a picture of Uncle Jim, Arkansas Tech Tournament, 1958. You'll see a picture of him holding that up in several pictures. Granddad, J.W. Bryan, taught here for a couple of years and coached a junior high basketball team that won the district one year. So, and Granny Jane was actually here as a teacher's aide for a few years.
The Granny Jane and Granddad, did they meet in school? Is that where they met each other? Here?
Well, they lived about a quarter mile from each other is where they probably met. So they were the next door neighbors.
Okay.
On the farm. The families knew each other pretty well.
How far are your apart for that?
4 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah. So she went to school at Bellefonte and left after the, I guess, 11th grade or so, I guess it was. He went to college down in Conway, and then got married after a year of college down there.
So when they got married, they moved back here?
Yeah.
What was your dad's first job?
He was always a farmer.
Okay.
They leased a farm from a judge in St. Louis that had raised chickens and had an apple orchard. They had the largest chicken farm in North Arkansas at the time. Probably wasn't a larger one until Tyson's came in the last part of the last century. And they did really well on the chicken farms. They fed they sent a lot of them to World War II, a lot of the eggs and stuff to the soldiers in World War II, and apples, a lot of the things that they raised on the farm. And that's where Uncle Jim was born, up there on the chicken ranch, they called it.
Okay. Well, then how'd your dad get involved with the sports store and everything?
Well, he was always a fisherman, and he fished back on the river, White River, before they turned them into lakes. And so I think all of the fishing supplies that he had to buy other places got him interested in putting together a store. So he and a buddy decided to put in a store called Ozark Sporting Goods. And I just don't think they ever made very good profit. So they sold it after a couple of years, I think.
And didn't he also get the very first TV?
He didn't have the very first TV. Now, Joe Lair was the TV guru who
in Boone County?
In Boone County, who lived right over there. You can still see an RCA sign there on the corner. That was Joe Lair's, and he had the first color TVs for sale in Boone County and North Arkansas, and we didn't get some of the first color TVs. We had some early TVs, but I remember we would go over to Joe Lair's and watch the bowl games and in color, and occasionally we would go over and watch Bonanza in color when it was in color over at Joe Lair's. And he finally sold Daddy a color TV. So,
I got to make sure to ask about the flood.
Well, the flood was, I think it was in 1960. I'll have to look that up. It was like May or June of 1960, 60 or 61, could have been, I'm not sure. But it rained in the middle of the night. I don't know, 13, 15, 16 inches. I don't know how much it rained. It just continued to rain, and Crooked Creek overran its banks and flooded about 2/3 of the downtown square. Water was 10 and 12 feet deep in the buildings. The people were on the roofs. They had gone down to check on their buildings that they ran, and they got caught up on the roofs. 4 people died. And I remember Daddy and me going down the next morning to see what had happened. And it was just cars were upside down, and just trash and everything was everywhere. It was amazing.
Could you get close to it?
Not real close. The National Guard had a lot of it roped off at that point in time. They had flood dollars that you got when you bought stuff back then. People would give you flood dollars for buying stuff, and you could take those flood dollars and buy flood damaged items and stuff like this. I got some old baseballs that had been through the flood. They were a little bit heavy, but Jim and I played with those flood damaged baseballs.
Out at the Rock House?
Yeah. Now, I used to have a 2-iron golf club that Granddad had in the Ozark Sporting Goods. That was the only club that he brought some odds and ends items back to the house after he sold the Ozark Sporting Goods store. I remember probably an old catcher's mitt, a 2-iron, golf club, and some odds and ends like that. But probably most of it was fishing stuff that he brought back.
And you grew up in the Rock House, right?
Yeah, I was born when they moved into the Rock House.
Like right after it was?
Just
okay.
a few months after they moved into the Rock House. They actually bought that farm.
And how big was that farm?
180 acres. So, and Jim was 9 years older, so.
They do cattle on that mostly, or?
Yeah, had 40 or 50 head of cattle there. Raised cattle until I was 5 or 6 years old, and then Daddy couldn't make enough money on the farm, and so he had to start teaching school to help with the income. And so he did both. We taught him. He was principal at Belfont School, where I went to elementary school for 5 years. He was at Valley Springs for a little while. He taught all different subjects. He went to Lead Hill, Jasper, Deer, and Payette. Ended up finally finishing up teaching at Payette, a small school in the area.
How would he find time to teach and do the farm?
Well, a lot of of course, you'd have to take care of the cattle when you got home from teaching. You'd get home and go feed the cattle and feed the hay and everything. Then most of the work on the farm was done in the summer after school was out, all getting the hay in, gathering all the hay in, and getting the crops up. So it was school's kind of made pretty good for school teachers and farmers, because they could do the school teaching in the winter and the farming after school was out a lot.
Do they do much crops?
We had a few crops, not a lot. We had mostly it was just grazing and cattle. Occasionally we'd have corn or something else, but mostly it was just grazing.
I'm trying to remember the Rock House. It was basement, first floor, which included the kitchen, living room, dining room,
and one downstairs bedroom and a half bath.
Okay.
And a sunroom.
And then the second floor.
Second floor had basically 4 bedrooms. We actually made 3 into bedrooms. One was never, it was plastered but never painted. It was used as the playroom or toy room.
I remember the toy room.
Or fan room, we called it.
Yeah.
And we put the big attic fan in that, in the window in the fan room.
So which room was yours?
Well, my room was actually, I got the room when Jim went to college. I got the room that was in the south west corner, and my mother and dad's room was over in the southeast corner, I guess it was. The pink room, I don't ever remember.
I think I remember. Is that where I stayed?
The pink room, I don't really remember anybody ever sleeping in the pink room.
Is that where I stayed when we were little kids as a guest?
I don't remember where you stayed. You probably stayed in the downstairs bedroom.
No, I stayed upstairs.
Was it upstairs?
I want to say I came off the landing up at the top and then went to the left corner. So would that be northwest corner?
That would be the pink room.
Pink room, yeah.
You might have stayed in the pink room when you were little.
And then you and Mom would stay. You come off the stairs and you turn right.
That was
right?
It turned left into my room, went right into my mother and dad's room, and then kind of to the right, angle to the right was the fan room, and then the bathroom was full bathroom was up there.
Now, did anybody who stayed in the downstairs bedroom? Anybody?
Nobody usually.
Okay. Especially, you remember the fan room?
I do remember the fan room.
I remember the base.
The toys that were in the fan room. There
Yeah.
were some marbles, and there were old toys that predated
Safety regulations.
Yeah, like toys that somebody had kept.
Stoplight.